So thank you for being here. I'm gonna talk to you about what happened in Cannes 2015, amazing event. Like I was saying before, whoever has the chance to go, just go, because it's not only about creativity, it's about what's happening and what's gonna happen in the next few years. So to me, it was a big eye opener. I think that we are on the right track when it comes to innovation, data, and all the things that we've been doing, and we can tell that our clients are listening to us. But then I also realized that it's way bigger than that, and I wanted to share with you not only cases, but also, or not only like case studies, but also couple points that I think they might be helpful for Lemon Joy and for Smart Beam especially, and obviously Asylum. Myself, and you know, guys, that I really believe in the things we do, and like our capabilities and all that. They're very, very important to me when we write them. But also this event was an eye opener, and to me, I realized that I was just looking at this little point, and that there's a bigger world out there. And it was a great investment for us actually to go to that festival this year. So this is my main takeaway. Like I was saying before, innovation. Everyone's talking about innovation, but I believe it's not only about innovation these days. It's about invention, and invention comes with not only software, not only marketing, not only communications, but also hardware. Solutions that transcend more than screens, and how do you integrate them. So I think we have to become inventors rather than communicators in an innovative way. And we have to become inventors. And this little insight here also comes from, like all the ideas rely on us, the creatives. But I also learned in this festival that most of the ideas are a consequence of a good strategist, or of a good business person, of a good analyst, of a good media person that actually saw an opportunity that we don't see. So my first big takeaway is this, from two dimensions of perspective. The first one is how do we integrate, business and creative and planning and all that with the big ideas, and also how do we become inventors that actually transcend communications. That's what the festival is about. And this is what every company should be. This is a conference that I saw from Crispin Porter and Bogosky and Domino's. And you know that Domino's was pretty much dying in 2010, I think, and Crispin came with the idea of, just tell them to accept and acknowledge they suck, and then reinvent the brand. And they did it, and now Domino's stock was in $2, now it's in 13. And they're huge, and this is one of the biggest takeaways. And someone at JP Morgan said, Domino's is a technology company, these guys is a marketing company, these guys is a pizza company. And I think that every successful business model should be that, data marketing and whatever our core business is. And if you think about it, what we're doing with Revlon is a perfect example of this. They're a makeup company, these guys is a marketing company, these guys are data company, and we're getting a lot of data for them too, and they're loving it. So this is my second biggest takeaway from that. They also talk about this a lot, and that means that we're in the right track, because we're talking about people to people or person to person marketing, which is the latest conference I've been doing. And they just talked about this, and there are three things that you need to always consider when you do people-based marketing: being accurate, talking about tribes, being persistent. It's not only about going all the channels they're at, but never giving up. It's just always, because and she was saying that we give up too quick these days in marketing. If it doesn't work because of the optimization, so it's a big contradiction there, because we're optimizing, and if it doesn't work right away, then we do something else. But then when you're dealing with people, you cannot give up on the first effort. So it was a big contradiction for me, like how do we know when to give up and try something different if we're in the era of optimization and changing things quick? But then if you go to the basic principle of dealing with people, you cannot give up on people that quick. So that was kind of an eye-opener for me as well on persistence. And then scalable. And being scalable doesn't mean that you start like this and goes like that. It's how an idea, a plan, an invention, or an innovative idea can transcend one tribe and become like a global movement. You'll see a couple of case studies that talk about that. That's the marketing director of Dentsu, which is the most innovative company in the world, with RGA. The Ayrton Senna thing they did with lights and sounds, the sound of Ayrton Senna that was Grand Prix last year. They did that, and They have the Dentsu Labs, which is just, it goes beyond anything we know, and they're amazing. If you want to check them out, that'll be great. So they were talking about bringing data to marketing, about the 3 A's, and I think this is something, since we're talking about data and we're talking about innovation and we're talking about software as a service with SmartVimo, we really need to consider these 3 things. So the first one is adaptation. Obviously, we're in a constant change, but it's not only just going with the flow of the change, but it's also interpretation of that change, and then reaction to it. Reaction to information. Then acceleration. Data must do things faster for people and let them change even faster. The Snapchat CEO, Evan Spiegel, which is a kid, super arrogant, super smart kid. They asked him, like, what does motivate you? Snapchat, an $18 billion company these days. And he said, one of the best things I've ever heard, actually. He said, like, we are giving people the option or the possibility to do things faster, and change them even faster, to make up their minds fast and change that decision even faster. So that's what the internet is about, giving people the option to do things fast and change their ideas faster, And then automation, is what we always talk about, optimization. That's the 3rd A. So whatever we do, it has to be about, on the go, change it and automate it. And they talked about that on that conference, which was really awesome. So a couple of personal insights, and based on the cases that won, I couldn't see everything because there was a lot of things happening, but these are a couple of personal takeaways from this. So I think that what we're doing now, which is data-driven ideas, they can come from 2 types of data. The first one is on the go, which is very relevant, and Javi's dad, he won a gold lion for a campaign in Puerto Rico they did with a tourist, and I'm gonna show it to you. And that didn't come from, and I was talking to him about it actually, and he said, like, it doesn't matter how powerful the tools you have, it doesn't matter how powerful they are, those tools. How that case study happened? A creative director saw that this guy won you will see the case study. An American guy won a trip to Puerto Rico, but they didn't bring his family, only for one person. So he went to Puerto Rico and he would start taking like selfies all over the place, but sad because he was alone. So J. Walter Thompson saw it and it wasn't even Facebook, it was like Reddit. She saw it on Reddit and made the call, and they have one of their clients is the tourism chamber of Puerto Rico, whatever, and they had the idea of bringing the whole family and asked the guy to do the same pictures but with his family and happy, wearing the same outfits at the same place, and that was a gold in Cannes. So we're gonna see that. So there's a lot of things on the go, and I believe that whenever we see the trend and she makes the report or whoever, like that thing already happened. We're not gonna have time to react fast enough. So my invitation here with this one, guys, is that whenever you see something cool, trendy, nice on a particular tribe that we can get close to Revlon or P&G or any of our clients, just pick up the phone, call whoever is the person involved, and let's make something happen. Because for the time that she sees it and she sends a report or whatever, it's gonna be gone. So this is very important. So what the first type of data is on the go, as it happens, and the second one is identifying big problems by doing research and connecting them to a brand plus a solution. We're gonna see a lot of that too. The Grand Prix innovation was a thing that, I almost fell on my chair. It's a big problem. A couple of guys with a little math, they came up with an amazing solution, and we're gonna talk about that, which is the maps with the coordinates and line words. So real listening and reaction. This is the first case study, and it's Walter Thompson, Puerto Rico.
On March 2015, social media buzzed with On March 2015, social media buzzed with photos of a tourist who went to Puerto Rico but had a miserable time. It turns out the images were uploaded to Reddit by a user named Widget Dude, claiming that he didn't have a single second of fun because he wanted a trip to the island but couldn't bring his wife along. Even though the headlines make the story sound worse than it actually was, pretty much everyone on the internet found it hilarious. That is everyone except Puerto Rico. For the Puerto Rico Tourism Company, articles about a tourist having a miserable time on the island, spreading like wildfire, no matter how silly the story, are not good news. And while it wasn't the country's fault that Widget Dude didn't have a great vacation, Puerto Rico wanted to make things right. So 2 weeks after the original post, we invited Widget Dude back to Puerto Rico, but this time along with his wife and his daughter. We took them all back to the places he had to visit by himself and retook all of his pictures, making new memories that were significantly less miserable. Widget Dude then uploaded the new pictures back to Reddit, and in a matter of hours they went up all the way to the top of the front page, quickly accumulating over 2 million views and receiving all sorts of international organic media coverage, this time with much better headlines.
The Puerto Rico tourism agency flew Kevin back to the same resort for a vacation do-over, this time with his family in tow. So he wore the exact same clothes so he could take these before and after pictures.
With a total investment of $8,000 and 0 media buys, 14 photos have generated over $15 million in earned media. In times when a single social media post can set off an image crisis, the country turned Widget Dude's story into a guarantee. It's impossible to not have a single second of fun in Puerto Rico.
So one of the things that we always think is that we're gonna need millions of dollars to do something relevant, and it's just about, I think there's a huge amount of luck on this, that you can come up with something like that. Someone sees it, the client approves it, bring the people, do 14 pictures. It's a mix, like a cosmic mix of perfect opportunities, but still, like, the big takeaway here is that we don't need a lot of money. We just need to open our eyes and share more information between us. So a big obvious epiphany here to me was that, and this is where when we're like lost, because we're only focusing on marketing problems. So our clients tell us that they need to sell more, and they need to launch their whatever campaign, and they need to have people talking about charming or whatever client it is. But then we're not focusing on the real problem. So we have to find that problem, add an idea, good idea. The use of technology is always going to be amazing, and then over a brand. The brand for us is here, is first, or the product. You know, all these variables, the brand has to be under the main variables that makes people human and that make the ideas relevant. You know, so that was a big obvious epiphany for me, and it was, you know, we're focusing on the wrong problem, because the problem comes from the brief and we just take it as it comes, rather than telling our client, it's not about launching your brand in Latin America or your new campaign. It's about what don't we find like a real problem that's relevant to that tribe of women in Latin America, skin cancer, whatever. It doesn't have to be even the human side of it, maybe education, whatever. And then we connect the brand with an idea through the use of technology and distribution, and we make something that big. So it's a big, simple epiphany for me, and it was important. So this was another good example, and I think that the triangle for success these days, and we don't know anything about, we don't know anything about this yet, which is hardware. I saw a lot of hardware now, even digital agencies, RGA is a specialist in that, but even small agencies, they're producing really simple hardware, you know, and you're gonna see one example. This was in Panama, it wasn't even anywhere like big, but the use of hardware plus software plus social media, that's like a little triangle I found that we haven't ever explored, you know, and this is happening fast, and you see it a lot. I don't know if you remember what Amazon is doing with the devices that you just hit, and they bring the bounty towels, and there's a lot of hardware through, you know, software and social media. So this is an amazing example that happened in Panama. I think it was Ogilvy. So yeah.
It would seem that in the rush to build a modern city, Panama forgot to take care of its existing streets, creating the contradiction of modern buildings and damaged streets. Modern buildings, damaged streets. And this is not amusing for the people that drive on these streets every day. The most influential news show of Panama decided to take the thoughts of these angry drivers directly to those responsible. Telemetro Reporta presents the tweeting pothole. Inside potholes on the busiest streets of Panama, we installed a device that every time it's run over by a vehicle, sends a complaint tweet directly to the Twitter account of the Department of Public Works. In addition, a special segment was created in the news show.
Desde hoy hay una novedad en el noticiero.
noticiero. Y precisamente vamos a presentarla. Se trata del hueco tuitero. Veamos de qué se trata.
We went out to the streets to get the drivers' opinions, and they took this as an opportunity to share their experiences and discontent.
Todos los días tenemos que estar chequeando esto y en algún momento el carro se va a dañar aquí.
We also presented the complaint tweets as part of the segment.
Vamos a ver qué otro tuit ha emitido el hueco tuitero y nos dice, denuncia al MUN de Panamá: estoy harto de que se me culpe por los accidentes ocasionados por chipear un hueco. Tapen los huecos y punto. Ahí está la etiqueta, calles dignas.
Many people followed and participated. They didn't just take a liking to the tweeting pothole, but also took it as someone that they could interact with and would make their claims public. Not surprisingly, potholes started disappearing. The streets are being repaired. Our tweets started a solution that is currently being carried out. With this initiative, Telemetro Reporta pointed out the hassle drivers suffer every day directly to those responsible.
So a little bit of hardware. I'm sure that doing that is not impossible for anyone. So cancel this one.
Before you, can we call Christian somehow for him to join the call? He's asking me.
He's gonna be.
Okay, so.
So a question though is that how big of a problem when I say, like we always think that we have to find a problem that big that actually touches everyone, and it's not quite like that. There are some things that are actually really tribal, really small, but still make a huge difference in a society. So there's a couple of things that they were presenting that they were, amazing as well, and they're getting huge. So this thing, for example, Google launched a campaign to explore the moon with Audi cars, and they developed this product which is the X Prize, and it's called Mission to the Moon. So people just participate online and donate money to put the car on the moon. So we still see things like that that are, I'd say, like maybe cosmetic, not too social, not too big of a social problem, but this one was amazing. So the car is being developed by Audi, $25 million project, and everyone is talking about it. So it's not always about a social problem, but also things that makes us proud as human beings, I guess. This is data applied to life. To me, this was the best case study, the best campaign, and the best thing probably I've seen in my life. And it was Grand Prix actually in innovation, and it was just finding a problem and coming up with a solution that is actually quite simple and complicated at the same time, because in the world, and you will see in the case study, like lots of people don't have an address because they live in favelas or comunas or like little ghetto areas where there's no addresses there. And these guys came with a metric system based on the coordinates, like attributing letters to the coordinates and putting them like a title, and now entire governments are using them, and it's just insane, it's amazing, and that was Grand Prix innovation. So check it out, that was a big problem, and we don't see it. What if P&G did something like that? What if, Revlon did something like that for women? I don't know, like we have the brands, and we have the brands with the reach. Again, I think we're focusing on the wrong problem. 3 words to the world.
Around 75% of the world suffers from inconsistent, complicated, or no addresses. 4 billion people don't have reliable street addresses, house numbers, zip or postcodes. Latitude and longitude coordinates do provide a precise and universal location reference, but whilst this is great for machines, it's not great for people. What 3 words is a new global addressing system. We have divided the world into 3-meter squares and have given each one a 3-word address. Our platform turns complicated coordinates into 3 simple words and back again. So it's as simple as saying, office spins bolt, and you have referred to a specific 3-meter square somewhere on the planet. In developing countries, an address means water points can be monitored and fixed, humanitarian aid can be requested, microfinance can scale, hospitals and schools can be found. In developed nations, it means friends are met, packages are delivered efficiently, destinations are discovered, and local businesses get customers. Through our partnership with Cartier Amigo, an address means that the increasingly affluent residents of the favelas can now order online and receive deliveries at home. Here, an address empowers people, grows small businesses, and drives the economy. We have our own apps. They work in a growing number of languages, offline, and with voice recognition and error detection. But more importantly, we have an API for businesses to plug in. 3-word addresses are already accepted in a range of mapping, taxi, navigation, sport, and even government services and NGOs. Everyone and everywhere in the world now has a simple address.
So that raises the question, do we get a brief and find the problem, or do we go and read and see what's happening in our markets and try to understand socially what's going on? And I actually always tell my students that at Miami Ad School and whatever, that in order to be relevant, marketeers and communicators, and we never talk about that here, but I think that this is a good time for that. We need to understand society as well, what's happening with people in Uruguay. Are we doing something in Uruguay for Revlon? What's going on there? Are we doing something in Puerto Rico for Subway or for whoever, or the islands? What's happening there socially as well? So, one big trend that you see in this festival, any festival, is that these people, the agencies and the brand, they do work for the people rather than just for themselves, at least on these creativity festivals. So that's really, really cool. So there are two ways of approaching ideas. First is that we get a brief and we're trying to find a problem or a solution, and we're going straight to the solution actually. Or second, we actually understand the world, and then whenever we get a brief, we just connect it to a solution. Actually, we were talking with Javi about doing something big for Panama Pacifico, because there is a big opportunity with that client in Panama, which is a developing country, and maybe putting sensors on the bridge whenever you have to cross there, and doing something in the other side of the city regarding education, or even building, maybe every car that passes the bridge will put a brick somewhere else. Things like that I know that Panama Pacifico will do. So we're gonna work on a big idea, not to win Cannes, but to do something relevant for the people in Panama next year. So, and if you give us awards, well, that's amazing. I always say that I never wanted awards, I never really care about awards, but I also understood in this festival that awards helps business development at the agency, helps your clients to go big as well, and they're just necessary. We need them, so we have to change that mindset, and that helped me as well, because I never focused on that. This was another very strong idea and beautiful idea on how we apply data to life. I think the previous one was the best one, but this one by close was maybe the second one. And again, no real problem, simple solution, data, and then this was gold at the Cannes Festival.
Millions of women across rural India suffer from breast cancer, fibrocystic breast disease, and complications during pregnancy. Most of these cases are linked to an iodine deficiency. Supplements in the form of pills already exist, but women weren't in the habit of consuming them. So how do you give these women the required dosage of iodine? Almost every Indian woman wears a bindi, a traditional symbol of beauty. But what if these tiny little dots could do more? What if they could save lives? Talwar Bindis, in association with Neil Vasant Medical Foundation and Research Center, introduced the life-saving dot, Jeevan Bindi, an idea that transformed bindis into iodine patches. Every woman requires between 150 to 220 micrograms of iodine daily. During the course of the day, these bindis dispense that amount to the wearer. Specially created, these life-saving dots were distributed to women across rural India via health camps and clinics. In a nation of 500 million women, these tiny little dots were no longer just a symbol of beauty. They now spelled the difference between life and death.
This iodine patch, worn like a bindi, the decorative dots many Indian women wear on their foreheads, it dispenses the recommended daily dose.
Mexico that people don't know how to speak a certain disease or a language because they weren't taught it. And
Yeah,
then they
that was
learn how to say it and
that
they
was
create
in health. They
In
won
health.
they won that one as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, always that you sent us that was also similar, that they
Mhm.
didn't know the language.
Yeah, that actually won too. They always won. That one was for Red Cross Mexico. It's the first Grand Prix they ever win in Mexico. So guys, about inventions, like I said before, we're seeing a lot of hardware, actually physical things are very easy to produce, like this one or the pothole, Twitter, whatever, plus software, plus social media, and then if you find the right drive, you're seeing things like that. Like I said before, RGA is the most innovative agency in the world with Dentsu. Those guys developed this new program called RGA Incubator. So they're bringing people, like creative people, to come with solutions. And most of the cases that they show, case studies they show, they just go to specific tribes. And I love this one, not only because he won also an innovation lion, but because it goes to a very specific tribe that we don't, as agencies, we don't really consider or think about, and it's the farmers in the US, which is the backbone of the economy. And these guys are facing a lot of issues with plagues and diseases and all that. And these guys, RGA Incubator Program, came with this solution, which is called the BioRanger, and they want to allow you
under
to.
attack. And the amazing thing is, farmers are still detecting and fighting these pests and diseases the same way they did 50 years ago. They fields looking for physical signs of disease, then mail away samples to a lab that takes 5 days for results, all while the disease can be spreading. It's no wonder that there are $75 billion in lost crops a year. This is why we created the BioRanger. BioRanger is a handheld biology lab. It's a breakthrough DNA system, replacing the 5-day mail-away process with immediate results. Here's how it works. A food or water sample gets placed in the BioRanger. The DNA is immediately extracted and the test is run. The app allows the farmer to watch the test in real time, and in 20 minutes they know the result. No waiting for physical symptoms to appear. No waiting for the lab to call in 5 days. And most importantly, no disease spreading. But where it really gets useful is the app then sends the data to the cloud, where it's recorded and summarized. Neighboring farms, so it can help manage the movement of the disease. For the first time in the history of farming, farmers have a tool that allows them to be proactive to diseases instead of reactive. We've also launched a marketplace so that every food scientist and researcher can sell their customized test kits created using BioRanger's open API. Already, BioRanger is protecting more than 250 million acres of crops in South America's orange groves, in rural China, and on family farms in Iowa. And it's making food safer at your local grocery store and restaurants. This is BioRanger.
That came from an agency through a brand. So, invention more. That's the big concept here. Also invention. So let's go to the next one. And then about inventions, and this was another lion as well. I think it was, what brand was it? It was a kids brand, maybe diapers. And they go to parents. And they go to for them to protect what's most important to them, their kids. And this is another amazing example of the
Is the baby sleeping peacefully? Or is something wrong? It's a question every new parent can relate to. That's why we created the Owlet Smart Sock. Start by telling us a little basic information about your baby and his profile. When you slip on the Owlet Smart Sock, it silently checks on him while he sleeps. You can see all you need to see right on your phone, no matter where you are. Owlet alerts you only if there seems to be a problem with your baby's heart rate or oxygen levels. It uses a proven safe technology called pulse oximetry that doctors and nurses have used for decades. And Owlet's base station can alert you even if your Wi-Fi and cell service go down. It's all about giving you a little more rest and a little less to worry about, because that's a pretty big deal. This is Owlet.
That also won a little piece of hardware as well, and that was by RGA as well. So they're promoting a lot of that, like a product development connected to devices and letting you, just making your life easier, pretty much. The next one. So, you know, brands and products can change the world and selling the process. That to me was the best case from Latin America. It came from Maruri, Gray, Ecuador, and it was amazing. It was by I think Panasonic, and it was gold in innovation. Grand Prix was the one with the coordinates. It was this one was gold, and it's amazing idea as well. Very simple, very needed. This is one of my favorites because, you know, we have Latin America clients like these guys in Ecuador, and you know how they are. They also they just want to sell, because that's their objectives, and budgets are small, and it's always a challenge to do something that big with them. But these guys came with the perfect mix of a great idea, some hardware, some real product, and then sales. So I love that one as well. So guys, the key to innovation for companies is the RG accelerator. So it was an incubator, accelerator. They talked about, this came from a conference as well, 4 things or 5 things. The first one is transparency. For us as a company, as an agency, and for our clients as well, because the internet rewards that. So the example of Domino's is pretty much that. They were transparent, they accepted, their product sucked. They did this focus group, which they actually made it viral. That was a few years ago. I don't know if you guys saw it. That was very popular. And the internet rewarded them because they were, transparent. Long-term partnerships. That means that for agencies and companies and our clients, they were talking about how the results you're gonna start seeing them after a few years, because the agency and whoever your vendor is gonna start learning about the brand, and the client's gonna learn about their own brand throughout the years. You don't hit a home run like that in the first year, so that was important. Then build a business case for everything, for us, and it goes with the last one. Guys, everything we do, and they were talking about that, all those case studies, they sound glorious and they sound magnificent, and in most cases they're not that big. Probably the water filter is something that I feel like every home in the world should have. Is it gonna happen? Maybe not, I don't know. But then when they create those case studies, they make him sound huge. And if you see what they do, is they talk numbers, millions of millions of liters of water, millions of people. It's all about numbers. So that comes with the last point. Innovation or invention is advertising. It's advertising for us, for our clients, and people are gonna love that. So key to innovation for companies, for us as an agency, I think that we'll have to do that. So the truth behind wearable technology, and you know that you guys, everyone is talking about wearable technology, but there is a bigger concept behind that, and that was one of the things that actually I loved the most in that conference, and it was pretty much this, what they call biometric data. All that crap that people are wearing these days is not about you learning how your body behaves or anything like that. What they're doing with that data is actually creating the algorithm of you, which means that in the future we're all going to have a set algorithm, and then brands are going to, the closest to that is Facebook. Obviously they know where we go, what we like and whatever, but in a connected space, when you go off that screen or whatever, and then you go with the watches and the glasses and all that, they're going to start measuring like how many times we look to the right, how many steps do we take before we stop, like more biometric data, also with your heartbeat and all that stuff, and they're going to create algorithms of people, and it's going to be easier for them to sell us and to create a more relevant life. And that concept to me was huge. Like I was blown away with that concept, and also the interpretation of that data, which I'm going to show you next. So they say something like data will fuel our lives, because everything's about patterns, about behavior in a pattern, and they're studying those patterns, and we all have them, although we see them or not. Custom experiences to enhance our lives. So whoever sees those patterns and finds those patterns through wearable technology is going to enhance people's lives, and they're going to sell more at the end of the day. The journey of life is becoming more relevant. Like the journey of life as a concept, like Facebook and all those guys did it, where they just take a couple of pictures of your previous experiences and put like a cute story. Now it's actually becoming data on a daily basis on behavior and what we do, and they're finding those peaks, and they're going to understand how to sell us, which is what we do with Smart People pretty much, through technology. That's pretty much it. So that was a big concept for me. And then for that concept, mobility is not about mobile devices anymore. It's about wearable devices, and those phones are going to become wearable devices, and they're becoming wearable devices. And they also said, and we talked about that a few months here as well, it's not about reinventing the way we wear glasses, or the simpler they are, the more if they look more like glasses or watches, and they closer to what we like and we use right now, they're going to be more and more relevant. So it's not going to, they're going to invent like jetpacks or anything like that. It's just the common things we use, hats, watches, wristbands, and glasses and all that, that are going to become that constant study of behavioral technology. That's what they're doing. So 5 moments there: capture, participate, cooperate, distribute, and measure, which are the basic principles of mobility, if you will. So another huge concept that I loved and actually blew my mind is the visualization of that data, because if you guys ever watch Matrix, how they look at data, those green numbers and all that, it's actually becoming a reality. And they showed a couple of artists and people that are doing that, and it's amazing. It's just taking all those, all that information and put it in lights and an algorithm and visualize it and interpret it in a different way. This was an artist, famous artist, that actually does it with, this was flights. Hello?
Yeah, hold on, my mouse is going crazy.
So this is flights, planes coming in and out from the US. That's how they're visualizing data these days for airplanes. And this guy's pretty famous. He has a big channel of Vimeo, and he takes all the data on how the human fluids go in the body and planes and all that. So what they were talking, and this is still in development, of course, but we're going to start looking at data in that way, rather than just numbers and whatever. It's just going to be that way. And whenever the light's stronger, that's what we have to pay attention to. So that was a concept that it was quite futuristic to me, and it was really cool, interpretation of data. But you see what's happening, right? Flights coming in and out, planes.
That's the United States.
Yeah. Okay. In the US, yeah. That was actually really cool too. There is this artist called Lev Matnovic, and this guy is pretty much doing that. There's another thing that is happening as well, and it's a big trend in marketing, which is, and we kind of saw that a few years ago in sports, where they just put like notes and nodes and sensors on the athletes' bodies and measure movement and strength and all that. What they're doing with that right now is that, for example, for performing arts, they're putting all that technology of like nodes and motion sensors on artists, and they're projecting it in different screens to people just to see the lights, and that's becoming like huge in art. And they have now a couple of places in Broadway, and they talked a lot about that on how we're gonna perceive movement through light and data, and it was pretty mind-blowing. I don't know how to apply it to what we do now, but it was pretty cool. So genius common people, there was Pharrell Williams, there was Marilyn Manson, there was Al Gore, there were like big celebrities speaking. To me, only this guy blew my mind. He was very simple and to the point, and he said something that actually everyone loved, and I did love as well. He said, don't wait for the stars to be aligned, reach out and rearrange them in the way you want to create your own constellation. This guy, Pharrell Williams, is a guy that, humble beginnings, and nowadays he's not just a singer, he's also an entrepreneur. He has a fashion line. He won Grand Prix last year on a website that was happy. The song Happy in 24 hours, which is really, really, really awesome. And he said something like this, 3 things takeaways for me that they were very, very strong. A curious mind is a young mind, so always stay curious. And he says, I never settle, always try to be exploring new things because that's gonna keep your mind young. The key to success is having a delusional ambition. I love that one because that's what we want, at least, with Smart Beam, we're trying to change the world, and the agency trying to be bigger than we always want. I think one of the keys to be successful is actually having that delusional ambition, trying to want more than you can have. I love when people tell me like we're crazy and you're fucking crazy. What are you talking about? With those ideas of creating the first predictive analytics tool in the world and all that, and we're doing it, and everyone who saw Smart Beam 1 loved it, and I'm gonna talk about that in a bit. So reaching the world's needs, collaboration, and meaning and goal life. So really important 3 concepts for him. Collaborate. You will never be able to do things by yourself, and I think as an agency we have to start collaborating with media people, technology people, with analytics people, with artists maybe at some point. Like as an agency, as Smart Beam, as Lemon Joy, as every company, we need to collaborate, because sometimes we think that since we have different profiles or people here, type of people here, like, so we're collaborating, but we're not, because we're on one roof and one name. So he said that for him to be who he is right now, he needs to collaborate every day, and then have a meaning, big purpose, which we kind of found with the BESF thing, and that go life. Evan Spiegel, the Snapchat guy, he said we need to give people the power to make decisions fast and change them faster. And I think that's what the internet is, and that was the biggest statement that I heard on that event, pretty much. Super smart guy, and that's what we should do when we do internet, give people the chance to make decisions fast and change them faster. So whoever understands the empathy between people and the world will find the right path, and it's about empathy and how people like certain things and how do you connect them to do that. And they also said something that was funny to me, because they only release 1 or 2% of the products they develop. Snapchat is an $18 billion company. They have about 400 people, and they're developing products for Snapchat like every day, and they only release 1 or 2% of it. So imagine the amount of coding and development that you have to do in able to keep, renovating your brand. In the case of Smart Beam, in this case, that was huge for me. So a few takeaways from this smart products roadmap. I love that graph too. Value, time, products as media, products as service, ecosystem, connected products. They're talking about how products should be connected these days rather than just product by themselves. So, guys, 3 big takeaways besides everything else I already said. So it's not about ideas or creativity. It's also about being aware of what's happening in the world, having a clear business and social sensitivity to things, and being extremely lucky. It's just that, like we have to be aware of what's happening in the world. I think that we should be reading news, and not only net-based or whatever, like reading news about what's happening in San Martin, in whatever we have business, because something will come up and will get our attention, and if we're fast enough, smart enough, we'll be able to do something big. Data is not a source, but a primitive way of creativity. I always thought that these days data for us was a source of creativity, but it's not really. It's a primitive way of creativity. Whoever sees that and evolves it to a way of communication will succeed, and that means that We're also thinking that data these days is a source, and we're trying to use it as an inspiration for creativity. Actually, data is the most primitive way of creativity. So it's not about taking these couple of data things that we see and making them creative, but it's just evolving the basic things that we see through data and coming up with amazing ideas. And that's what, like I said before, two ways of doing that. On the go, we see something cool and we implement it, or we see a big pattern through time and then we implement it as well. The third one is that I think we have ideas as an agency, as a technology company, as an event company, but we're lacking a social perspective, and we just think about selling more for a product, for our clients, or whatever, how to give them more ROI, but we're lacking a social view. Social view meaning like being relevant to the world in the most basic form, and I think we will never ever reach like a good status as an agency if we don't step back a little bit and try to understand people and communities and tribes more. Not tribes from the way they shop and they buy, but also like just living basic needs, because we're just looking at how to make money for our clients and for ourselves, and that's why we're pretty much irrelevant these days with our ideas. And change our chip to inventors, creativity, data, marketing are only drivers. Invention is where relevance meets its higher peak. So that's one of my biggest takeaways as well, is that I'm gonna try to change my own chip. I would love if you could just explore the possibility of trying to think in function of invention as well, rather than just how do I sell more for my client from a business perspective or from the creative communication perspective, but also try to invent more. And when I say invent, remember hardware, software, social, three things. If you see all the big case studies that want hardware, social, software, so important. And this is my last comment on this. I really never care about awards, because I think that for us to go and sell and stand in front of Procter & Gamble and win it after 30 minutes of presentation and they stop us saying that we're great, that was enough. I really understood that when you win awards, that gives you business, that gives you recognition, that gives you, these days, if you win an award there, it means that you're doing something good for the world. So never care for awards, but I did care to change the world. So if that brings me awards, then I do want awards these days. Because I always believe that we can actually change the world, and Smart Beam is the first relevant thing that I've ever done in my life. And I think that could change the world, and if it can bring us awards, amazing. From the agency side, I think that we have the clients, we have the audiences, we have the people to do something to actually change the world. And if we want awards and more business, they'll come for sure, but we have to start doing something really relevant. So our new creative strategic vision, and this is more for creatives specifically, but human behavior is set. Let's find a faster, better, and more shareable way for people to do those same things. Then let's connect them to the right brand and to endorse it, and let's change the world. That's, if you look at all those case studies, they're just that. People finding an easy, faster, better way to do the things we usually do, same things. Like check for diseases, help farmers, whatever we've been doing for years and centuries. These people are just finding a faster, better, and more shareable way to do it. And they're connecting, they're endorsing that with brands, and that's what winning a can every day. So that was my, I think, last one. And guys, there's an archive. From the business perspective, let me just wrap this up real quick. We have the database for the Cannes Festival on an app that I have for the festival. We have like 20,000 names by categories. So clients, agencies, whatever, and we're gonna hire someone to take all that information and put it on a spreadsheet for us and try to do some business development for Smart Beam and for Asylum as well, for Lemon Joy. And the big message here, like as I was there, wearing the Smart Beam shirt and all that, is that everyone who saw Smart Beam loved it, and I showed that to big names, and we're gonna talk to PwC, which is top company in the world. We're gonna be talking to them this week. Ogilvy Worldwide, we have a call with them in 2 days, and it was an amazing experience for to understand a little bit more about data, business-wise. People again loved Smart Beam on the Asylum part. I think that it was important to me to actually see what's happening and how agents are thinking these days, and being able to bring it here and try to change your everyone's chip and try to get better at what we do. And it's just a terrific experience. I think that everyone should do it at some point, because that thing is just amazing. You meet amazing people, you see all these ideas, and then you get a couple of things that tickle your your heart and your brains, and you come back and I'm wanting to do things differently, and I want us to do a couple of things different here. I'm gonna figure out a way of setting new models, especially for creative thinking, and finding the right clients and the right opportunities comes from you guys, the business people, and we need to start doing relevant work, because one day if we keep doing what our clients want us to do and what they think is right, one day we're just gonna realize that we're doing just relevant things. So that was my real quick kind of experience. Any questions? Comments?
Thank you.